for the Conejo Recreation and Park District Board of Directors, regular meeting of December 4th, 2025. You'll please stand with me and pledge allegiance to our flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See, we have our seasonal red background up, which looks very nice. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Yes. Director Nichols?
Yes.
Director Cussworth?
Yes.
Director Hupper?
Sort of.
Director Buss?
Yes.
Director Roscoe?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is special presentations. We have none this evening. Items from the public. I have no cards for people locally. Do we have anybody online? No, we do not. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. If there are any changes, be happy to hear. Yes, Director Huffer.
I'll move approval of the agenda.
Thank you. We have a second to that.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that approved. Thank you. Next is the consent calendar. We have the minutes and the warrants. Any edits or comments on that? If not, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar, A and B.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Deferred matters, we have none. Items for discussion, we have none. So that takes us down to new items. If Madam Clerk could introduce item 9A, please.
Yes. Item 9A, Annual Audit Report.
Thank you. And Ms. Smith, I think this is like your night.
Yes, this is Melissa's money meeting. Woo, okay. So, and Katie's getting me logged in so I can share my screen. But yes, tonight we are taking on the audits, our reserves, and our investment policy. We try to do these annually as best practice, and we try to do them together because it gives a good context for the whole financial position of the district. And normally we do it in February, but because we have a potential acquisition coming up, I wanted us to have financial statements that would be ready for a lender and have our reserves in shape in order to be a potential down payment on anything. So that's why we're a little ahead of time. Our auditor was happy to oblige my new schedule. So thank you to them. And yeah, I'll dive in, but feel free to interrupt with questions as you like. So let's see if I can get it to share correctly. I've provided you guys two documents, just kind of supplemental to what you have. The first you've seen before is this CRPD's funds cheat sheet. So it shows each of our funds and basically the revenues that go in, the typical expenses, and the current balances. But this new document is it's a trifold little pamphlet. Hopefully it's more for the people because you have it on your desk, but this is the highlights of just the audit. And so, although I'm sure you read every single part of the financial statements, these are the highlighted items that I wanted you to hear from the auditor. So first and foremost, we got a clean audit opinion. They had no findings, no recommendations for us. They come twice a year. So the first time they come is in April or May. That's where they're checking more of our processes. So they'll see how we approve payments, if it's compliant with our purchasing policy, how we handle cash, how we handle our bank recs, how we secure our checks, things like that. Then they come at the end of the year and they look at how we do our year-end closing. So they'll make sure we're addressing our liabilities accurately. They look at our updated actuarials. They see how we address our capital assets, and then they put together these financial statements for us. So we have the clean audit opinion after all of those visits from them, and we're in a really strong financial position. So if you open up the little trifold packet on the left side, you'll see our net position. So we're at just under $217 million of our net position. Most of that is in our capital assets, and that means our property, our facilities, and our equipment. About 28% of that is our portion of COSCA, and then 24% is unrestricted, and that's basically our cash. So that shows you kind of the overall picture of the district. I do want to make a note that when I say property in there, The property that is booked in our system is the appraised value at the time of the acquisition, and we don't appraise our properties every year. So it's probably higher than that, but this is a safe estimate for this purpose. In the center of it is more the review of the actual fiscal year 24-25. So in general, our general fund balance was a 6.7 million increase to 58.2 million. Our budget performance, our revenues were over budget by 6.2 million. I do want to point out that 4 million of that is investment income from our trust. So it wasn't us wildly over performing on property taxes or anything like that. So the other 2.9 was from conservative estimates for the property tax and our rec revenue. Below it, there's a little donut chart that shows all of our revenues. So you can see about half of it is from property tax. Next highest is our rec revenue. Thank you, Rochelle. Those investments in the 115 trust, the assessments, and then grants and other things. That's typically our relationship with the city and MRCA and things like that. So that's our revenues and our budget. Our expenses, we were under budget by $1 million. So always good when your revenues go over and your expenses are under, which leaves us with a 9.2 million unassigned fund balance. And we'll talk about that more when we dive into the reserves. And then the really cool thing that we get to brag about is on the right-hand side is our retiree obligations and liabilities. So again, I'll dive more into it in the reserves, but in short, we have 3 pools for our retiree liabilities: pension, OPEB, and the stipend. The amounts here are the total liabilities calculated by our actuarials, and the percentage on the right is how much each of those are funded. So our pension obligation is 107% funded, OPEB is 172, and stipend is at 100. Our overall for the district makes it 110%, and just below it, you'll see the progression. So in 2019, we were 73% funded, 2021, 99, 2023, 100, and now we're at 110. So doing really, really good on retiree liabilities. That's huge for government organizations in California. Like, that's super, super rare. So thank you for letting us have a good reserve strategy to achieve that. And I did want to note we're still on track to get the $5 million of savings from implementing that new CalPERS Fresh Start program. We got the new report with that new actuarial stuff in August. We made our first payment. We made it early so we could take advantage of the discount rate. So we're doing really good with that plan and it's working out. So just cross your fingers it keeps going. And then last but not least, on the back of the little pamphlet, and I'll scroll up for those following online, it's the statement of our financial reserves, each reserve and the balance. Really, really healthy reserves. We'll dive more into that. And then a little snippet about Fireworks Hill, which is also mentioned in our financial statements, management discussion and analysis as a big thing coming up in the next year, and the $2 million grant we secured for that. So yeah, those are the highlights from our audit. I hope you like the new trifold highlight packet, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the audit.
Thank you very much. I'll defer to my colleagues here. Yes, Director Huffer.
Not a question, just a comment. This little folder is absolutely terrific.
Oh, thank you.
Is this being sent out to an audience, or is it just available for people who ask? Or
I made it for you, so whatever you want to do with it.
you know, it might be a bit overkill. I was thinking, you know, maybe add it to the next program guide, but that might be a little too confusing. But some way of getting this information out to the public. You know, maybe the Acorn could do something with it, but I think this is absolutely great. So
Oh, thank you.
and it's so much easier than going through all this other
I
stuff.
suspected, yeah.
So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Director Cussworth.
I was going to say the same thing as Director Huffer. Your both your PowerPoint presentations and now this little folder are excellent. Did you do this on your own?
I did, yeah.
Because I thought, oh, wow, she must have had Charlene do this. Did we have Mustang Marketing make this?
Oh, thanks.
Who made this? But I mean, this is very clear, easy to read, very delightful, and I enjoyed it. So thank you very much. It's, you know, brought it down to a simplified version, very visual, and I think you did a great job. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Director Buss.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
I was just curious, how did the OPEB get so overfunded?
So the OPEB is overfunded because it's a very small pool and it's a smaller amount. So what happens is when they do their actuarial reports, it's a really small pool of employees that were, I think it was hired before 2009 when we stopped that benefit. So it's a capped pool. And then if the actuarial assume that they would be getting annual payments, but they take a lump sum, it throws everything off. So because it's such a small pool of people, these individual changes have a huge impact on the actual actuarial. So
Okay.
it swings pretty wildly.
So it wasn't that we were like just overfunding it, it was.
No, in fact,
Okay.
the
Interesting.
OPEB and the stipend plan, we haven't contributed anything to that plan for, I think, 4 years now. It's just been living on the investment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the net position and then remarking that you have not evaluated the properties since acquisition, I
Mhm.
mean, that's pretty insane. So that means that your net position would be so much higher.
Yes, if we needed it to be, but it's one of those, it's not a best practice to do it every year because, appraisals
Right.
don't last forever. And so unless you have a need to do an appraisal, it's not recommended that you do it. But yeah, it would be a lot higher.
I mean, you could take like an appraisal from one of like the more recent, even from like the appraisal for this property potentially, and just take what the price per acre is and then apply it across.
So
You know what I
we
mean?
could do that to get like an estimate
Yeah.
for it. The auditors aren't going to accept it
Oh, no,
unless there's
but I
an
was like-
actual appraisal of that property. Yeah, those auditors. Yeah.
No, yeah, and that would be ridiculously expensive
Yeah.
to do appraisals on all of them. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, that's interesting because
Yeah.
I was like,
But I thought
so-
it was significant enough to mention.
Oh,
so.
100%. I
Yeah.
mean, because yeah, they're probably worth, some of them purchased 30, 50 years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, but this is beautiful as
Thank you.
always. You are a whiz. Is this Canva?
That's Canva.
I know. This is, I can spot it. I was like, this is gorgeous. So no, excellent job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh,
I'll just
last
yeah,
one, I give it a
certainly.
chance. Director.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate just what was already said. This is really lovely. It's always nice to have numbers at the ready and you make it so easy and digestible, especially when we are fielding questions just from residents or just for our own personal knowledge. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll second that 4 times on the comments. This is very handy. I mean, it's nice to have an executive summary, but then when the executive summary has pictures and graphics, that's even better.
Awesome.
Especially when the body of it is, what, 75 pages or something?
Yeah.
And you're trying to digest it 1 page at a time, can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I'm also encouraged to see how the investments are paying off over time. I just remember being so disenfranchised early on the board when I realized, gosh, you mean you restricted how you can invest and you can only get 1 or 2% return on your investments.
Mhm.
And now these other options have come available and has really benefited us tremendously. So thank you and your team for doing the research and pointing us in the right direction. Obviously, we're benefiting tremendously from that. So thank you for that. And I think also it just kind of paints a good, robust picture. While, finances are what they are, I think it does kind of reflect the heartbeat of the organization and how overall it's doing well. Because when things start to go haywire, then you have to start borrowing or moving, and then you have to have all these asterisks and footnotes of how things are happening, and it's just really clean. So yeah, very encouraging. And then one last thing I just want to ask, just from an audit perspective, because you talked about reviewing processes and things like that. I'm just thinking that, if you're going through this year after year and twice a year, even at that, not much changes in 6 or 12 months, unless you have some operational upheaval that you have to change, or the codes change and now you need to follow in line with the code. So
Mhm.
with that said, from year to year, does it become rather, I say routine, obviously the numbers change, but the processes stay the same. is it rather routine with your relationship with the auditor? Or is there always some checks and balances that, you kind of keep each other on the toes to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to, and they are verifying that you're doing what you're supposed to?
So parts of it become routine where we know the format that they want this data in type, but their testing modules actually change every year. So they pull samples to test. And so one year they might pick every 200 entries, they pull one. The next year, it might be based on the dollar amount or the percentage to that vendor or something like that. So they change how they do the sampling every year. And then every 5 years, we have a best practice where we either change audit firms or we change the partner that's assigned to us. So every 5 years at a minimum, we're getting a new, fresh set of eyes. And as they're sampling things, it's changing every year.
Thanks, because I know there's some of that that's
Mhm.
built in, but it's always good for me to be refreshed on how that
Oh, yeah.
happens. So thank you for that.
I rarely get asked. It's great.
Any other comments or questions? Director Huffer?
Yeah, just one other comment. Now, having been on the board for 13 years and seen 13 audits, with several different auditors and examiners and so on. I know there were a couple of years where there maybe was an I that needed to be dotted or a T to be crossed. But other than that, you and the staff really need to be commended for giving us such strong audits year after year after year. So please pass along our thanks to what everyone does in getting this done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion. We do have a staff recommendation here to accept the audit. So we can either do that or someone has some other motion, or Director Huffer.
Thank you. I would like to move that we accept the audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, as prepared by the accounting firm of Moss, Levy, and Hartsheim.
I will second it.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, if you could please introduce item 9B, please.
Yes, item 9B, annual review and adoption of financial reserves policy and authorization to transfer various reserve funds.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, part 2.
All right. So I'm going to draw your attention to the spreadsheet that I have up there. I just think this is easier to walk through, but we do have red line versions of the reserve policy for you in your packet, along with a bunch of new attachments because of the changes that we're making. So first I'm going to start with working through this spreadsheet from the top to kind of the middle. So the top row shows the fund balances for each of our reserve funds as of our last audit. Then in the middle, that is the balances of each fund as of the audit that we just did. So the numbers in that middle row where it says balances available as of 6/30/2025 match the numbers in the audit that you just saw. To the right for the unassigned fund balance, you'll see that it's at 9.21 million. There are a couple, I'm going to call them internal earmarks in them. They're not set aside funds for reserves, but they are funds that we have set aside for purposes within the district. So the first is the employee housing revolving fund. So this is for our employees who are in housing, they contribute rent for that, and we set that aside in this fund so it can be used for any improvements that are needed for employee housing. So it's their rents go towards any improvements or repairs that are needed for the housing. And then 2.14 million of that unassigned fund balance is the loan from the general fund to the capital fund for Page Lane. And so as those funds get received, that loan will be paid back and that amount will be reduced. But so for right now, the amount of the unassigned fund balance that we have to play with is the 6.35 that's after that. So before I dive into the recommendations for transfers and things like that, I want to go through each of the reserves and then talk about specifically the target amount that we set. And I do want to thank Director Orozco and Director Huffer for our committee meeting where I got to go through this with them and talk about the nitty gritty for this and come to you with these new target amounts. So the operating reserve, our target funding, we set to be 6 to 12 million. That's 3 to 6 months of typical expenses for us. It's at 6.4, and honestly, we don't see much of a need to go higher. That was sufficient. We've never had to use it, and even when COVID happened, we never had to use it, so we're not seeing a need to go higher than that. Our claims and liability reserve, the target funding is 2.25 million, and that is based on a recommendation that Jim got from Capri. So we added that new calculation into the red line version, but it's basically the amounts of our SIR times 5. So that's the 2.25, what we would be out of pocket for 5 instances. Am I saying that right, Jim? I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's for liability and workers' comp.
And then the next one, the equipment reserve. So the target funding amount that we have is 4.53. That amount, I gave you a tracker that I've only used for budget purposes before, so it's new to you. But it literally shows the amount of contributions from the general fund per division. So it shows how much we've set aside from the general fund for IT, for fleet, or for rec. So these 3 right here. And also, it shows how much they have had savings over the year, where maybe they planned something to be $100, but it was 75. So that extra 25 is still available to them if they have something that is over what they thought they were going to budget for. So the total of all those numbers come up to the 4.53. We update this every year with the budget. And so now you just get to see it. And that's why it's in the reserve now.
And it's on page 125.
Oh, thank you.
If you're following along in the packet.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the next one is the vested leave reserve. This is one that has had a change because of a new GASB rule. So vested leave, it's our sick leave and vacation leave that have been accrued for our employees. And so we want to have some funds set aside to address those liabilities. GASB 101 basically instructed government organizations to increase the percentage of sick leave that you should consider as a liability. That was a change for us of about $500,000 this year. So you'll see the target increase to 2.15. And that is one of the recommended actions I'm giving, is to contribute more to that fund. Finally, the pension stabilization reserve, and I'll try to find the page that that's on. So that's on page 126, where we talk about all of the different funding amounts. So the target amount there is only $110,000. And that is because, as we talked about before, the stipend is already overfunded, the OPEB is already overfunded. The only pot that doesn't have funding in itself is the amount at CalPERS, and all we would need there is 110,000. So that is technically the target amount, but our retirement is already it's so subject to market trends. The actuarial report is subject to market trends, and the performance every year is subject to market trends. So that being overfunded is a good thing. So we're going to try to not touch that as much as possible, especially as we see what happens with the Fresh Start program rolling out. So that's the last fund that we're going to touch, but we are overfunded in that fund. Finally, we have the capital facilities and property acquisition reserve. The target amount was set actually with the budget, but it's the year X of our 10-year CIP program, plus the anticipated need to keep up with our parks population goals. It is an aspirational goal. It's over $300 million, but that is us identifying the need. This is also the fund that I'm recommending we use for any down payment on acquiring the Hill. And finally, our unassigned fund balance, we like to keep that at around 2 million. That's 2 million that's available for the district if something comes up during the year. So 2 million can address pretty much most of the problems that would come up in a year. And so that's a good number that we're comfortable with. So yeah, the red line versions change those target amounts to reflect those new calculations. And I can continue giving the backup calculations for you on those. And before I dive into the transfers, I'm happy to answer any questions on those target amounts.
Questions? I just had one question on unassigned. Is that just based on past experience? You just think, gosh, I think 2 million is about right. Like there's no standards to follow on how you allocate unassigned? Is just kind of what you think based on your needs?
So I'm going to get super nerdy on you.
Okay.
For best practices, one of the purposes of having reserves besides addressing the liabilities that you have is that if you do have basically savings, you want to have most of them assigned to a purpose so that if there was some sort of state financial trouble and they looked at your available pots, they could make a claim if your unassigned fund balance was too high. You're sitting on money, we'll take it because we need it for the state. So you don't want it to be so high. That it looks like you're sitting on taxpayer dollars for no purpose. So you do want to assign those dollars to something, but the 2 million is actually, you don't want it to be more than, I think it was like, you don't want it to be more than 10% of the property tax you would get every year.
Okay.
And so that was the only guidance I could really find on what that threshold should be. So those are the
All right.
two things.
Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
That was it.
Okay, so I'm going to dive into our recommended actions. So the first highlighted row there is the transfer from that unassigned fund balance of 6.35 to our vested leave reserve. And that's to address the new GASB rule liability about sick leave, so that will be 100% funded. And then all of the other transfers are basically ensuring that all of the other funds are at least 100% funding the liabilities, going into that capital facilities reserve to be available for the Hillcrest acquisition down payment, with the $2 million wiggle room there. So that is the recommended action, and I'm available for questions on those.
I see no hands, so whatever is next. If anything.
Oh, nothing else on this item.
Okay,
That's it.
all right. Okay. So. Very good. Okay, so there are no questions then? If not, we do have a recommendation from staff, 3 different portions. If anyone cares to make a recommendation, there's your script to follow.
I'll make a recommendation that we, 1, adopt the district's amended financial reserves policy, 2, authorize the transfer of 0.38 million from the district's unassigned fund balance to the vested leave reserve, and 3, authorize the transfer of 6.5 million to the district's capital facilities and property acquisition reserve, as follows in this written document.
Thank you. Do you have a second for that?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any last chance for questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. All right, and we will move on to item 9C. Madam Clerk, if you could read that into the record for us, please.
Item 9C, readoption of investment policy.
Thank you. And Ms. Smith.
All right, the third and final. Okay. So we have no changes for our investment policy besides our formatting and the dates. But just as a refresher, we are governed by a California government code on what we can invest in. We make sure that we invest with pools and entities that restrict their investments to things that are compliant with California government code like LAIF, CalTrust. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was that we do ensure that 98% of our funds are always invested, so funds are not just sitting idle. But with that, available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? If not, we do have a recommendation. Director Buss.
I'll make a recommendation that we adopt the district's investment policy.
Thank you. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Huffer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That passes. Okay. That covers our new items. Next is item 10, reports and announcements. We do have in our packet some written information. Were there any questions or comments of staff on any of those? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 11, starting off with our Parks Division report.
Thank you, Director Nichols, members of the board. Just want to give a quick update. We are making progress on permits. We do have a couple little new hurdles that came up for Conejo community regarding like fire department requirements. We are looking to do, we never had to do this for structures that are non-habitable, like restrooms, trash enclosure is part of that scope of work at Conejo Community on the west side of the park. And so we are looking at updating our plans, coordinating with our suppliers as well as our architect to implement that kind of wrinkle with it. So it is taking us a little bit more time than we were hoping for, but we are making progress on that. So just giving you guys an update on that we're chipping away, and I'm available for questions.
Questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you. All right, that'll take us to Recreation Division report, please.
Thank you, Chair Nichols, members of the board. Really just a lot of stuff going on. Check out the calendar on the website for fun things to go check out this weekend, and Monday's registration. Other than that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing none. Management Services Division report.
I have a little bit more, although you've heard most of my world today. The only thing I wanted to note is MRCA approved their new line of credit at their board meeting yesterday, and we're set to close on Tuesday. So very exciting. So
Very
that's
good.
my update, and I'm available for questions.
Very good. Any questions? All right, thank you. All right, General Manager's report.
Yeah, this was the Melissa Money meeting, so I thank you for all of your hard work, and you definitely, because not just CRPD, but MRCA had all the line of credit stuff going too. So she was super swamped, and I think deserves a tropical vacation somewhere. I have started my one-on-ones with the board, so thanks for those. I have to still do 3 more. So I think Marissa tomorrow, and then I have Chuck and Doug, and we'll keep those moving forward. Placer AI continues to be a nice, interesting tool for us to use. And we have been, and I can't remember if I said this last time, apologies if I do, but we've been invited actually as one of their 2, I think one's a city and one's us, a rec district, but they're going to be doing a webinar in January, and we're one of their sort of sample agencies that they're going to highlight and kind of explain how we've been using it and what it looks like and that kind of thing. So that's kind of a neat thing. Just last Tuesday, 2 days ago, the city of Thousand Oaks declared Fireworks Hill surplus. So the 61 acres, 1.5 acres, the city has declared it surplus. We have, everything still looks really good as we keep moving forward with that process. We expect to bring something to the city council, their first or second meeting in January, and our meeting in January, which is on the 15th. So, and that would be purchase and sale agreement along with the development agreement. So then, and then we'll have some period of time for escrow and try to do this thing. So really exciting. I want to mention that Rochelle and her team, and Andrew, but it's the bulk of its work in the rec side is the certificates of insurance that we have to manage, and there's quite a few, over 200. I think we're close to 250. Different certificates of insurance for different reasons that we manage, and we're trying to move that to a completely online system directly with our insurance companies and Capri, and so we're a guinea pig for Capri on that as well. So there's 2 agencies that Capri is rolling out first. It's us and Rancho Cordova. So hopefully it works and we don't piss off every single one of our 250 customers, because there's a bunch of AI and automation to it. So we're hopeful that it's going to actually go really well. Just to get in the weeds a little bit, but none of us really love insurance. That's generous. A lot of people are pretty uninformed about how it works or what a additional insured endorsement is and all the different requirements there are. And so this is creating an email system with AI that will scan the certificates that they do submit to determine compliance with our requirements, and then automatically reply to them about what is deficient. Because I would say we're 50% of them already. We have to have back and forth conversations with people on, nope, you got to follow the instructions on the thing. You got call your broker, get them to fix it, get it back to us. This is supposed to automate that all, and hopefully the sophisticated users, it won't be a big deal, but people that don't do it regularly, and this is like a one-off, once a year, they have to think about it. They'll be able to just forward an email to their broker and just go make this like they want it. And hopefully it'll be great. So we're excited about that. It could be a tremendous staff saving time if it does work how we're hoping it will, but it's a neat thing we're going toward. Then really quick on some upcoming things, just so you're aware. This Friday, the Cossack Holiday Party in here, 12/5, 12/9 at lunch is State of the City, and I think everybody is going. Silver Starlight Balls on the 13th. And our own reorg and board meeting will be on the 18th of December. And then it's the holidays. So with that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the general manager? Okay, thank you. All right, takes us to directors' reports and follow-up reports. Start to my right with Director Cussworth.
So I was at the holiday party yesterday, which was the first that I've ever been to because I always was working. And then I guess the last 2 years I was not able to come, but I thought it was fantastic. I thought Patty did a wonderful job. And one thing that I really liked is I think there were over 10 employees in the pool room. That was a big hit. So it seemed like it was a nice location. They were in there playing pool, and then she had all those other games set up. The food was fantastic. I thought you gave some really good remarks, Jim and Doug. So it was a very, very nice party. I did have my meeting with Jim, and so just to remind you all, you are not discussing his performance at this meeting. You are discussing CRPD's performance, maybe talk about your goals. He has nice things prepared for you to read, so that you all got in the email. Are any of you getting Jim's emails in your other file? I'm getting Jim's emails in my other file. I don't know why. So
Is that like a junk file? Or
in the junk file, because you told me you sent that out and I couldn't find it. So then I looked in my junk file and your email was in there.
I'm offended by your.
I don't know why. And then your very nice thank you note, Rochelle, was also in my junk file, along with Marriott, Bombay, and Public PEO, or whatever they are. All those things I never read. So I don't know why that's happening. Do you know why that would happen? Okay. Well, anyway, it was only 2 emails from Jim were in my junk file. So whatever. But then I'd like to say over Thanksgiving, this isn't really a director's report, but just a hearty congratulations to CRPD. Over Thanksgiving week, my household quadrupled as I had 2 of my children and their families come and live with us. And then 2 of my other children bring their families during the day. So so of course, and I don't have a large home, so we need things to do. So I would like to say I have 3 parks that are walkable from my house. All 3 were visited at some time, which was fabulous. Wildwood was visited. Los Robles Trail was visited as hiking, and we had a whole little group of us go play disc golf. So all of this was free of charge and kept my family very entertained over, because they came for a week. And so during that time. And so with grandchildren's aged 3 to 16 and lots in between, we found lots to do in CRPD parks. So thank you. I'm sure that many other families over Thanksgiving also were very pleased to find so many activities for their families.
Very good. Director Orozco.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to take a quick minute to say thank you so much to Melissa. I know this meeting, it feels like really condensed and there was a lot of dense material to go through, and you made it seem like such an easy meeting, but I know that there's a lot of work that went into it, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. And it's also very exciting because even though it seems very straightforward, these are moves that we're making financially to set us up for a really bright future, and so I'm just excited to share in that. So thank you. All right, so then on November 23rd, per um, uh, Nellie's recommendation, I went to go see Little Women, the final play, and the final performance, and it was really lovely and delightful and so fun to see. I also participated in the Turkey Dash on Thanksgiving morning, so that was great. Lots of friendly faces, and I learned that it was the largest Turkey Dash that they had held to date, and so that's really exciting to see. And I did walk the whole thing. I did not run. And then I had my one-on-one with Jim on Monday, and then the staff holiday party, which again, thank you so much to staff for putting that together. It was, this is only my second holiday party that I've attended for CRPD, but there definitely was a sense of excitement at being almost at home for the celebration, and you could feel that level of comfort and camaraderie. And so, thanks again for all of that.
Thank you. Director Buss.
Okay, so I went back east for Thanksgiving, so I wasn't around. But I did come home and went to the Panther Tournament Shootout, which I had never been to at Pepper Tree Park. And I actually randomly had never been at Pepper Tree Park, I realized, because I've only just been driving by. 50 billion times I've driven by that park. So I got to tour the whole thing, and it was great. And 12U, we did win the shootout portion, just so you know. Okay, we did not win the tournament portion. I thought it was an interesting concept that they have two different things going on at the same time. So, but that was pretty fun. And then we had our Conejo Coalition Youth and Family meeting, and we did it at the City Hall this time in one of their board meetings. So it was a little more formal, actually sitting at a dais instead of here comfortably in our home. But yeah, so we're going through some transitions there in that coalition. So it's interesting. And then I went to the holiday employee party, and I agree. I think that, well, maybe it's because I'm at Los Robles every Thursday for Rotary, but I thought it was phenomenal in the senior center, and I just thought it was so much more festive. And I mean, I understand why you've always done it not there, because you want all the employees to be able to participate and not have to work, but I really thought that was much, I don't know, I thought it was a much cozier place. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. I've got a tournament in 2 weeks, so I'll keep you guys posted on the next week and how we do.
Thank you. Director Heffer.
I have nothing to report other than I never want to see a bowl of Jell-O again in my life.
Well, glad you could join us this evening. I just was looking at my calendar since our last board meeting, and the only thing that I participated in was the employee holiday party yesterday, which was fantastic. Enjoyed it. Fellowship was great. The food was great. The festivities was great. I mean, it really was a wonderful, wonderful day and morning. And thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the participation and for all the staff putting that together. It was great. Okay, item 12, requests for status reports and items for subsequent agendas. Do we have any? Okay. Items from the public. Do we have anybody waiting in the wings? Oh, okay. If you are watching us online and care to speak to the board as an item from the public, please raise your hand so our technician can acknowledge you. Okay, see, we see no response, so we will carry on. All right, Mr. General Manager, could you introduce our executive closed session, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair Nichols, members of the board. We do have the need for an executive closed session under Government Code Section 54957. Oh, actually not that one. We don't have a need for the public employee performance evaluation. The other one though, 54,957, conference with staff regarding public services and security. The subject is cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities to district information systems, review of security assessments, potential threats to public facilities and essential public services, and direction to staff on mitigation measures. I want to take the temperature down a little. That sounded really scary. So just in case anyone's watching at home and is nervous, we aren't going to tell you that like we had $20 million sent to, you know, a different country or something like that. So yeah, so this is really about all of the systems that our professional IT staff have been building to protect us from that kind of thing. So that no announcements expected.
Thank you.
No, we're going to move. Sorry, Chuck.
Okay, and with that, we will adjourn the meeting for this evening. Thank you very much.